Crafty Maven peeps, it's Tanya here for Art Party Friday, and I've been having endless hassles with my microphone, so if this voice recording is bad, I do apologise. It's the best I can do at the moment. So as you would have seen, the inspiration piece is very Halloween-y, and well, in South Africa we don't really celebrate Halloween all that much. A lot more than when I was a kid. I mean, when I was a kid there was no Halloween whatsoever. But now you'll find there's sweeties in the shops and the kids do go trick-or-treating, but not nearly as big as it is in America, or I believe some of the European countries as well. So I figured, what the heck, let me just try anyway. And mixed media and me, or art journaling and me, or anything with paint and me doesn't always go very well. I am very basic, I have very minimal knowledge, and so I kind of just run with it and have interesting results generally. And what I figured on doing was to get one of those small canvases, and I figured a small canvas can't be too intimidating, especially as I looked at what the other girls have done on this channel on this day, and oh well, you can see whoosh, glue just about everywhere, and they are really good. So yeah, it was very, very intimidating, I have to say. But I went with it, and let that be an inspiration to you lot who might be watching this and haven't tried it yet. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. Believe me. So those papers are, okay, to get back to the canvas, so I figured if I got one and I did a little thing on one, you know, that would be artistic and fill the brief. But then I found this pack of 6, and I had this brainwave of doing a scene on all 6 of them and then cut it up. And you'll see at the end it doesn't come out too badly. So having seen what others do, I figured, okay, let me layer some papers onto the canvas, you know, because that gives texture and I presume texture and background and interesting things for the project. And so I did that, and I'm covering it with gesso, and then I realized, well, you know, there's quite a few gaps. And don't ask me why I put that flowery die cut paper down first, or even at all, because it got completely covered up. But I was in the creative zone, you know, going with the flow. So I grabbed some papers from my stash, some really pretty colored papers actually. I love these nice pretty bright colors, and they get covered up completely with a very Halloweeny dark somber picture. But we'll get there. So right, so there I go. I've covered it with matte medium, and I've covered it with gesso, and now I'm using a Diane Reevely, I think it is, or a Dina Wakely stencil. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say. But it's of a bird on a branch, and this is where my Halloween idea came in, because I thought, you know, I could make this kind of sinister looking bird, you know, waiting to pounce. I don't know. Is that very Halloween-y? Who knows? But I did take from the inspiration piece the orange colours and got out my watercolour paints. They're Studio Calico. Grabbed all the oranges and the reds and the peaches, and oh, look at me. Isn't that so sweet? I'm putting little blobs down just like a professional. I was quite chuffed with that actually. I thought it looked rather nice. And I am going to use my sponge because I find paintbrushes very difficult to use. Don't know why. If it's not those pieces of hair coming off into your paint, then I don't know, they leave streaky marks and things, so yeah, they don't work as well as these sponges do for me. Now I am creating my sunset, you know, that very deep red sunset we get sometimes where we take photographs and we think, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And that's what I'm recreating here. Mixing up the paints and seeing what works. Wanted the darker red at the top, you know, and coming down to a lighter orange at the bottom. And I don't want to get my hands dirty because I don't like dirty hands, so I have a piece of paper towel. Yep, you can tell that I do this often. Oh yeah. I don't know, I think maybe one day I must just grab a couple of paints, you know, little blobs of paint like that, and just stick my fingers in them. You know, get over this phobia of keeping my hands clean because I don't want them dirty. And then I had this idea, because you can't really see the bird because I covered him up in paint, if I took a baby wipe and wiped the paint away, it would come off. Well, not really. That didn't work very well at all. Who knew? I mean, they're watercolour paints, but evidently when you put texture paste down and paint on, it doesn't come off so easily. So now I wanted to make the bird black, so, you know, this would tie in with the sinister and dark and that kind of thing. And I'm using, I think that's a kind of ink that you would use in calligraphy pens and that type of thing. I think I have it, I'm not quite sure. It's got one of those droppers. But that worked reasonably well, but not as well as I wanted to do, because once it dried, as you can see there on the branch, the ink is not as, is it opaque? Is opaque the right term? Yeah, it's not as dark as I wanted it to be. So now I'm doing that. I took some more of the Studio Calico paint and I'm painting around the edge to make it look, you know, even more spooky and scary. Hey, have any of you seen that Alfred Hitchcock movie, Birds? Whoa, was that a scary movie? My goodness, couldn't look at more than two birds in one group and in the same way ever again. So now I have taken some of my black paint and I'm just covering over it, because really it just was not dark enough for my liking. And also I consulted with my daughters and they said, no mum, it's not dark enough. So I figured, you know, they obviously know what they're talking about. And then they did also say that I needed a bit more yellow in my sunset because it was a little too orangey. So now I'm getting all creative and adding in some yellow. And well, yeah, that yellow wasn't quite yellow enough for me, so I grabbed my other watercolor paints. Yes, for somebody who's, you know, not that into mixed media, I do have a lot of the stuff. Well, because I like the stuff, even if I can't use it very well. Oh, and who knew, if you put yellow paint on, because the dark paint around the edge is actually blue, it goes green. Now I know I should have known that, but I thought the paint was dry. The paint was dry. So when I put the yellow on, the paint shouldn't have gone green. But I suppose you're going to tell me it's because of the watercolours. And, oh, we're at the end. I spared you the drama of me cutting it apart because, gosh, it took a long time to cut because of the layers of the paint and the paper. But I got there, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another Crafty Maven Getaway video. And I hope you have a super day, and hey, happy Halloween! Bye!